The dentist that I worked for had everyone take tests on their cognitive skills. So not cognitive, but cognitive, which are what you're born with and you would naturally just choose in different paths and situations. And
the head dentist, the owner of the dental practice.
Yeah, he went to like a summit and came back and said, look, I could have a dental assistant who's in the wrong position based on these cognitive skills. Let me have everybody take them.
No kid.
So I took that and it scored, like it was like a 1 through 9 on these different levels, and there was 4 levels. And on the entrepreneurship, there was 1 through 10. I was at a 9. And so he was like, okay, it said I would either be in marketing or entrepreneurial. And I had no clue. I could do management and sales, but I didn't know anything about marketing. He goes, you're going to figure it out. And promoted me with no training. Like I literally had to YouTube and fail forward. There's actually still a billboard I saw that I designed on something called Pixlr. It doesn't even exist anymore because the resolution was so poor at the time and the things I had to do to make that billboard look good, but it's still up on Segan. I mean, that's from like 2011, 2012. And I was so stressed out turning that billboard in because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
We would like to thank our title sponsor, B1 Bank. B1 Bank knows that entrepreneurs like you are always thinking one step ahead. So you need banking solutions that can keep up. It begins with lending. Does your business need working capital or financing for new equipment? How about a real estate or a construction loan? Good news, the B1 lending team is ready to learn your goals and help you find the best lending option available. Now let's talk about uncomplicating your daily cash flow. B1 offers a full array of treasury management services that let you collect funds faster, pay funds more efficiently, and access your information with powerful online tools. Most importantly, B1 understands the value of working with local nonprofits to build a stronger community. They believe in giving back through hands-on involvement with their B1 Community Outreach Program because it's simply the right thing to do. B1 Bank. Be uncomplicated. To learn more, visit b1bank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC. Hello, I'm Andrew McClendon, your host of the Next Entrepreneur Podcast. We're here today in the Propel Production Podcast Studio in Baton Rouge, and we welcome our guest, Miss Amy Vandiver. Amy, welcome to the podcast. You are the owner of Clover Creative and a founder at Flowerfest. So
Yeah.
why don't you tell us what those two things have going on right now?
Yeah, so I basically divide my time between creating content for clients, billboards, websites, logos, anything you can think branding-wise. And then the rest of my time is producing this 2-day festival that raises money for St. Jude.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
This is being recorded sometime before that, but will air right before your event. So that will be coming up right around the corner. So that's very exciting. So in addition to being a business owner and a festival founder, you're a mother of 3. Mm-hmm. I have daughters that have 2 and 3 children, and I get to see a peek into their lives of what that looks like today and maybe how it's different from when I had 3 children or was raising 3 children. So what's your trick in juggling all of that?
Laughter. I think that it's easier to laugh than cry, but I think with my kids, we just find the small moments to giggle. I mean, last night when we got home from gymnastics, I put on, Emmett goes, put on that Bohemian song, Bohemian Rhapsody. And we played it and it was getting to the really fun parts and we were already at the drive and I said, we'll make a lap. And he's like, I wonder if the neighbors can hear. And it's just like, it's
Y'all
just,
were blaring.
Oh yeah. It's just fun in the moments to just cut up and be goofy because so much, even with their schooling and their schedules, is serious. And we've got to get there and do that. And
you were talking about your morning routine before the show.
yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, I do with the age brackets. So I have Kate. She is 13. She'll be 14 next month. She's in middle school. Emmett is 7. So he's in elementary school. And then Esther is in preschool. So I have 3 different drop-offs.
That is wild.
Mm-hmm. And 3 very different personalities. Emmett wakes up, like on Valentine's Day, he woke up, Happy Valentine's Day, to everyone, like singing. Esther, it takes 3 or 4 times to, all right, now your cereal's on the table. Okay, because she gets a different breakfast. They get bacon and eggs that I cook. She gets her Lucky Charms. You know, like they're all different. And then Kate, don't talk to her until you're ready to straighten the back of her hair that she can't reach. Yeah.
You know, when we were expecting our second daughter, I have 3 daughters, I was like, okay, well, this is cool because I already know how to do a daughter, right?
Right.
mean, it's and my wife's looking at me like, they're not going to be the same. Mm-mm. It doesn't work like that. It's like, oh, yeah, I guess I should know
right.
that. But I read something in doing the research about you that said you described yourself as a perfect mix between your mother, who was an art teacher, and your father, who was a salesman, and like a creative that can sell.
Well, I think, and now being a parent, and I don't know how because, my dad was on commission, you have to be strategic in everything. And when, your income fluctuates that much. And I think that I kind of learned that strategic hustle, grind from watching him. And then on the other hand, my mom, like, let's just craft and let's make something out of nothing, because we didn't have a lot of money sometimes. And so our Saturdays or Sundays or even our summers would be spent just doing things out of like popsicle sticks or, just anything.
Yeah. Were you entrepreneurial as a kid?
Well, I kind of had to be. So like I was the kid that did everything. Like the yearbook looks like my scrapbook because I was in every club, in every sport that I could be, unless they like completely crossed schedules. But that got expensive. So I was the kid that would go with my mom to Sam's and get a ton of candy and then like sell it without getting in trouble at school. Because I wanted to be able to, like, because she was like, look, I can pay for maybe cheerleading or I can pay for maybe, your track stuff. But if you really want to do softball and soccer too, how are you going to, So it was on me to kind of come up with that, extra there, here and there. And I mean, they did help. I mean, it's hard though. Now I'm like, it's crazy how much your brain shifts once you become the parent,
Oh, yeah.
Your whole childhood changes.
So where did you grow up?
So in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Yep. I went to Parkview Oaks Elementary, Southeast, and then Terra.
And then
I went to Southeastern for college. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought I would just go for a minute and just do that freshman year, kind of get my feet wet, and then transfer to LSU, and I loved it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that went there. Same thing. And,
yeah,
and we had a lot of friends in college that went there as well, and I was at LSU. And
it's like there it was school. And I get that I feel like there's a part of me that I missed out on that college experience, but I loved 2 days a week. I was there from 8 to 5, and I focused. The rest of the time I was working, and I graduated without student debt because there wasn't the distraction of the fun, So I drove home, done.
So when you graduated, you weren't in design stuff.
No, I was actually sociology. So I had the big dream of, I'm going to join the Peace Corps, come back, get a master's, become a professor, something like that. And that is not at all what happened.
So what path did you go down?
Well, I was pregnant my senior year of college, so I had Kate. So Kate was my new path. And I was, went in college, I waited tables and did all the things, bartending to make money. And I knew I wasn't going to want to keep doing that. And I had gotten the letter, like I could go back and utilize a part of TOPS for further education. But my roommate at the time said, I think you need to not be worrying so much about your school and all that. You need to be making money and get out of restaurants. I'm like, you're right. I can't be the mom I want to be. So I got into a dental office, and within a month, he's like, you cannot be a dental assistant. You talk way too much, but you're selling everybody on everything that you talk to them about. And so then I got promoted to management, quickly to marketing, and then I did the whole branch and all of the different like offices that they had.
So the sales thing was just in your blood?
I think, I don't, and to me, it never feels like selling. And I know that's weird, but like, I've never felt like I had to sell anybody anything because I'm like, in my mind, I can see the benefit. So I'm like, you want this? And I also didn't sell anything I wouldn't want. Right? So it's like, I never felt sleazy. I'm like, don't you want white teeth? Yeah. I don't know. I just never, it was just innately in me,
Yeah, that's good. So what was the transition? So how do you go from dental to design?
Well, the dentist that I worked for had everyone take tests on their cognitive skills. So not cognitive, but cognitive, which are what you're born with and you would naturally just choose in different paths and situations. And
the head dentist, the owner of the dental practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he went to like a summit and came back and said, look, I could have a dental assistant who's in the wrong position based on these cognitive skills. Let me have everybody take them.
No kid.
So I took that, and it scored, like it was like a 1 through 9 on these different levels, and there was 4 levels. And on the entrepreneurship, there was 1 through 10. I was at a 9. And so he was like, okay, it said I would either be in marketing or entrepreneurial. And I had no clue. I could do management and sales, but I didn't know anything about marketing. He goes, you're going to figure it out. And promoted me with no training. Like I literally had to YouTube and fail forward. There's actually still a billboard I saw that I designed on something called Pixlr. It doesn't even exist anymore because the resolution was so poor at the time and the things I had to do to make that billboard look good, but it's still up on Segan. I mean, that's from like 2011, 2012. And I was so stressed out turning that billboard in because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I just thought, what do I think looks good?
Yeah.
And I think that's just how I lead life. What do I like? What do I think looks right? So I just became self-taught, learned as I went.
And so you did that at the dental business, and then at some point you start your business.
Yeah. So I went from there to a air blow dry bar and salon scooped me up. They were moving from Covington to Baton Rouge and opening a salon, and they needed someone who had my skill set, someone who was from the city because they didn't know anyone here, and to help launch that. So when I opened that salon and did their marketing and management, then I was going to have Emmett, and I started working at home. And I got a taste of what being at home could be like, making my own schedule. And I went to them and said, hey, what if you were my first client? What if you didn't have to have me on salary anymore, didn't have to do benefits and stuff like that? I went out on my own because half the people that would come to the blow dry bar were like, we wish you could do this for us. We would love for you. And I'm like, well, how can I do that on top of my regular hours? They liked the idea because, it was cheaper, and they still got all the services I did. And they were so supportive. They gave me my first laptop, first camera. And then from there, we're still friends to this day, big supporters of each other. Yeah. And so I went off. So that was I had Emmett, and it was like 2015. So 2016, I had Emmett and was able to stay at home, raise him until he was about a year, and build a business. And
So that your first entrepreneurial endeavor was Amy Dighton Design.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
real creative
name. Well, we've had some creative types on here that had like ad agencies and marketing firms. And one of the guys, a good friend of mine, said he learned something from a mentor that said, hire yourself first. So it sounds like that's what you did at some point and rebranded your business, right?
Well, what happened was, and it's funny because it's kind of come full circle, but I started growing and realized it was like everyone I ever knew all of a sudden needed logos. I think that entrepreneurial spirit was really kicking off in like the 2016, 2017. It was just everyone was starting a business. And so then I was that go-to person. And also, when you're starting out, your fees are right because you're hungry, they're hungry. And it grew so quick that then I needed help.
Right.
But if my name is Amy Dighton Design, everyone's only going to want to work with me. And I didn't want people to feel like they were passed off to someone or had like an intern or anything like that, because typically I would work with so many companies that had a bad taste from a previous agency. So when they would look at me as like a sole provider, just a subcontractor, they would go, oh, it's kind of like you work for us. So then it's just like a mutual relationship. Well, I couldn't do that for 40 people. Right. So that's when I brought in more people. And I thought, well, if my name's on it and they get an email from someone else, where's Amy? Right. Where's the person we first met? So I was like, you know what? I think it's time. We'll be an agency, but it's not like the typical agency.
So why Clover?
Well, it was because of, I love St. Patrick's Day, and I've been people's lucky charm, and I've heard that enough that it's not luck, it's hard work. It's just fun kind of plays on, being someone's lucky charm, having good luck, hard work. I also wanted something that was memorable, but not 100% tied into like Amy or female, or it was just a word that could be anything. Yeah.
And recognizable, and that's...
Yeah, not hard to pronounce like my last name, not Vandiver, nothing hard. An easy icon with the Clover. Now, so many people, so after I did Clover Creative Agency, a payment system came out, that's Clover, very similar, and people are like, do you own that? I'm like, if I owned that, I'd be on a beach somewhere. Like, no, I do not get 2% of every transaction so no, different Clovers.
I was thinking about, small businesses that start, and for every entrepreneur, the hardest part of it is the start, right? You're trying to figure everything out, and there's so many, systems and regulations and processes you're supposed to follow. Most people just kind of figure it out on the way. And at the same time, you're trying to build revenue, right? But it seems like the word of mouth thing really worked well for you.
Yeah.
And seemed to have answered that question. I mean, I'm not trying to suggest it was easy, but it sounds like
I think
it flowed
people
well.
buy people. At the end of the day, it's how you make people feel. And I know I'm not always the most talented person in the room, but I will work harder, and I will want it more. And I think that emotional connection that I put myself, and I will say early on though, I had to start to separate because it was almost like I wanted it more than some of my clients. Like I would see things they needed and almost want it more. But I think that was a feeling, and so people knew that they could trust that. You know, you might be able to get something cheaper online with a deal, but I'll always answer the phone when you call, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the next thing I think about as far as building a business is when you get to that point where you need to hire people, but you don't necessarily have the revenue there to support it.
Yeah.
Right? So those are the challenges. Did you find yourself in that position?
I mean,
along the way?
Well, earlier you were talking about how it was harder in the beginning. I'm like, when does it get not hard? When does that hard? It's like you change one hard for another hard.
Yeah.
So what happened was, it was like people I would come in contact with. So like, you know, one of the first people that I hired on I was like, maybe if I just had, like a client manager, that would help me because then she could help delegate even just emails and things like that. So she was someone I came to know in passing, and she did wonderful. And then I realized, actually, I need to be able to delegate a little bit more to someone creative in the creative realm. And that same thing, I worked with G.W. Oliver at this lovely woman, Kinley, worked for them, and she was about to have another baby. And she's like, I've watched her whole process. I think I can help. And it just kind of worked out organically. And I think, I remember one time I had this lunch when I invited people that had interest in my company. We went to lunch, and I basically just shared my why and what I wanted for all of them. But I also was very transparent. I'm like, I'm not taking out this big line of, you know, credit. We will get the contracts we get. You will be subbed out if we don't renew. It's just the way it works, you know. And if you're on my ship, you're on my ship. I'll support you, that kind of thing. And it was wonderful because I think we were all just excited to support each other. That's kind of how I hired everyone. Is it just people that kind of came in contact that I knew, would refer somebody else, look at their work, and we all kind of wanted the same thing.
So were you working in an office, or were people working remotely?
So we actually worked remotely until 2020, and then so all of 2019 I was kind of building so Kim Meadowlark, she's still one of my best friends. She was like, hey, I can't, you know, make it to this photo shoot. Would you like to? Yep. Awesome. That was such good photos. Do you want to do all the other photo shoots? You know, it would kind of work like that. And I learned who I could trust. And so then she would go out for a job, and my client would know Kim's coming. You know, and she still does that for some of my clients. Even Nathan that was on here before, she still goes and shoots all of his pools, all that kind of stuff. So we didn't have to see each other. So we were already doing the remote, and we didn't get an office per se until 2020 when I realized some of the bigger clients, they were so used to that. Right. They couldn't, it was before COVID, they couldn't wrap their mind on, I'll email you the proposal and we'll go over it on the phone, or we'll come to you, or they wanted the office. So then we started doing pitches in the office. I mean, it was smaller than this. It was over at Point Marie. I mean, it was really small. Right. But then COVID happened, and I'm like, yay, back to no offices. I think people are more productive. I just think it's, I know for me with my drive time, if I already have all that drive time in carpool, then I have to drive to an office, then I have to sit I mean, you're taking away from hours in a week of productivity.
Yeah, I think there's definitely situations where it's more productive, but I also think there's situations where you lose some of the magic.
Well, especially if it's team projects. Yeah. So I feel like because a lot of mine was like, okay, Sydney's going to handle the captions for this account. Okay, Kim's going to do the shoot for that account. And then we'll all come together on like a phone call. It wasn't like we had to lay out drafts for a plan for a home and come up with a design together. And it just worked out that it worked this way.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of situations where it is team oriented, but you know, you could be in your office working individually, but you need to be able to walk in the guy's office. And,
it saves you time.
And then just things happen and conversations evolve and ideas come about. And I'm thinking of work that we do in real estate development and construction and things like that.
Well, because you miss out on that synergy. Yeah. That can happen when you just happen to be in the same room. Yeah. And so we met all the time because, I would go to a shoot just so I could be there to make sure the vision was exactly what, and then we're, all right, we want to go get lunch after. We loved working together. So we definitely still had meetings and an office vibe without the office.
So let's dig a little bit into more specifically what Clover Creative does. So I've interviewed a couple of different companies that are in the marketing creative space, as I mentioned. But like, I never know, are they a marketing company, an advertising company, a graphic design company, social media? And where do the lines overlap? It's always
it is kind of murky. I guess it's kind of like, when you have like a med spa and it's like, okay, well, how deep into the med spa do you go? It's kind of the same thing. So for Clover, it's always been, it started with the branding and all of your logos and your graphic design and billboards. But to me, clients wanted to, okay, how can I apply that and get the best return of investment? That was social media. So I was what a lot of people say is like the OG in the area, because I was offering social media packages and marketing for people, monthly management in 2016, when people weren't even doing that yet. Now everyone who graduates college is like a social media manager because they grew up on it.
Right.
So bread and butter would be storytelling through social media, and it's organic advertising. I very rarely will have clients pay for ads. If they do, it's a very strategic, like a magazine ad that's timed perfectly because they need to sell homes or something. Most of what I do, 90% of it is video and photography that's clever and storytelling. It either pulls at someone's heart, makes them get emotional, makes them feel something, makes them laugh. They don't even feel sold to. That's the goal,
Okay, so when you talk about video, is that mainly used on social media?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we still shoot it so that way it could be applied on like a website, right, or if they want to turn around and use it for like a TV commercial. But because the better quality will perform better even on social media. But now, like I've worked with some videographers that when they send me the files back, I'll, like for the Flower Fest, I needed to tilt them and make them fit the screen, right, or adjust them because Instagram will penalize it if it's not the correct size. So it's like a lot of the film world is now pivoting to shoot for social, where it used to be you shot for TV, Yeah.
It's interesting how there's so many different things you have to consider for the different social media platforms with the stuff you're saying. This podcast is sponsored by NAI Ladder & Blum, Louisiana's leading commercial real estate firm, offering expertise in every discipline, including office, industrial, retail, multifamily, and corporate services. Their agents guide you through the real estate process from start to finish, using a host of marketing, prospecting, and analytical technologies. As leading entrepreneurs, your valuable time and resources should align with the most trusted name in commercial real estate, NAI Ladder & Blum. Learn how they can work for you at www.ladderblum.com. Turnkey Solutions is a nationwide cybersecurity and IT systems expert, providing the services that growing businesses need to stay ahead of hackers, hurricanes, and IT nightmares. With 24/7 support teams and offices across Louisiana and Texas, they bring peace of mind to companies of all sizes. Their 5-star rated team provides lightning-fast IT support with the cybersecurity and business continuity solutions today's businesses demand. When you're looking for a technology partner to provide you with peace of mind, find out more by calling them at 225-224-6594 or chat with them online at www.tks.la/NXT. So when I think of graphic design, I think of like the creation of a logo, something. And then when I think of branding, I think of taking that and spreading it across everything that you do, whether it's collateral or social media or print or whatever. But you also do like events or event management?
Yeah, it's experiential marketing. So, because everything now is about how a brand makes you feel.
What is that, experiential marketing?
So, technically, if you were to Google it, it's events that make people fall in love with brands. And especially with COVID, I started noticing it just because I feel like I always have my eyes open to what the world's doing, trends and things like that, that it took so much more to get us out the house because we all got spoiled. It was like, now I can Uber, now I can Netflix. There's so many streaming things. Even having friends, people are getting better at having friends over at the house, So restaurants, different venues are doing bigger and better things to try to get people out. And I really think it all goes into how you make someone feel will convert a client or a lead way faster than an ad. If I fall in love with how I felt or have photos that are shared, and I see your photos from an event or an experience kind of thing, especially if it's immersive, then other people are going to be like, I want that. I want to go there.
So it would be like a little pop-up.
Yeah, so it can be anything as small as a pop-up to big events like the Flower Fest, things like that, concerts, all that.
And then of course, the people are attending the pop-up or the festival, but you also have the content, the images and pictures you just mentioned, and then people start to see that, spread it across social media, and they're like, oh, look how cool that is.
Well, and it's like, so anyway, I started that like in 2021 doing the Flower Fest, and I just did what, kind of like I was saying, I just did what felt right, what I thought I liked, what I thought would be nice, things that were missing in events that I would go to, kind of like in my attempt to get it right. And then the other day I saw this post about the 11 pillars of experiential marketing. And I realized those are the things I just thought of. Is it relatable? Is it something that's shareable? I can't remember all 11, but it was like, is it interactive? Is it engaging? And I'm like, I didn't know I was making that when I came up with the Flower Fest. I just thought, what would I like? Yeah. And I try to apply that to these events, like the Money Talks event or the Reels class that I taught last July. When I give someone my time, that is the most valuable thing I give them. It really is. So it better be full of value. It also needs to be fun. Because again, like I could be on my couch in my comfy clothes. So I feel like when I apply that to events that I do, whether they're for a client or they're my own, I don't want any regret. I don't want anyone wanting to leave early. I wanted them to love it.
Okay, so walk us through, you mentioned Money Talks.
Yeah, and that one was the one that I planned, but I can tell you I paid attention in that one. I was the one having to learn it all. It was awesome.
Someone engaged you to put on this.
Yes, my friend Chi Soleil. Yeah, my friend Chi. So she owns Forever Dreamer, which is like entrepreneurial support, like monthly box that she does. She does consulting for businesses, and she reached out to me last year and said, look, I think we should partner on these cool events. I've been seeing what you've been doing, and I think that we need to kind of mix things up. It seems like it's always the same people that go to the same things. And if we come together, we can maybe get some diversity, get some different speakers, make some good connections. And I was like, sounds good to me. And so the first one we did was the Reels class. I did it at a boutique where I got hands-on, showed everyone because I was able to teach it. I had that knowledge. Then we did
like how to use Reels.
Yeah, so how to shoot them, how to use your iPhone or your smartphone in ways that you maybe didn't even know it was going to auto stabilize, or if you spun it like this, or like if you went like this with the phone and dropped it, you would see the coffee mug, and then you come back up, and the next thing could be, something you wanted to show. Right. Like it's just the different kind of like gimmicks and tricks, right? So I taught that. Then we did a goal setting class at a bakery because it was like the recipe for success. So we had a fun play on that. And then the last one, the most recent one we did was the Money Talks, and she, like, I might have helped with graphics and the fun stuff, but she lined up those speakers, and we had people there that were talking about everything that a lot of female entrepreneurs don't know about. The difference between different insurances, trust, and all kinds of things.
So what is the part of the creative process that you enjoy the most, or what creative product that you do?
I mean, it's definitely the event part. Yeah. I feel like I can execute every part of what I enjoy putting together an event, because I'm going to have to come up with a creative on it. What's the name of it? Who's involved? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What's on their table? What are they eating? What are they listening to? And so it's like I'm not limited to just a social media post or something where it's just a website or like just a billboard. I can do all of that with that.
And how many people are you employing now?
So right now it's just myself employed, and then I have 3 people that I'll sub things out. But it's just per job. I mean, It's just been like that because after 2021, I had to pivot that. I mean, I just had to. I couldn't, if my income might shift, I needed to know that they could just get them as jobs needed. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I was thinking, I always think about growth, business growth. I just, that's what I like to think about and do. And so I was curious, if you think about growth, do you think that would take the shape in growing staff or contractors, or do you think that would grow in a diversity of services that you'd offer, or a little of both?
Well, because I kind of did that. I mean, I feel like I've been on like an arch kind of trajectory. I grew very quickly. Then I needed people. Then I realized I don't like managing people. I like being creative. I like having fun, and I like it's hard sometimes in the creative world because it's so many untangibles for me to see something, tell a client that, and then make sure that gets executed from another third party the same way that we saw it. So from 2021 to now, I've dwindled that. I mean, I went from having 5 people and we were just rocking and rolling. I mean, at one point, I think we had like 15 accounts. I mean, it was a lot. Right. And now I'm like, I love my little 3 that I get to dive all the way in. And then we'll still get a website here or, you know, a logo here. But it's like I can give them all my attention instead of being spread out. And then I'm not trying to also manage people, because that's, I think, when people grow and they don't realize you'll have to manage these people, as in remind them things.
Yeah, I had a thought, like, how much admin work that you do.
It was a lot.
Yeah. So, but clearly you like the creative part.
Yeah. Well, and I learned that too. So with the Flower Fest, now we're at year 3. This is the first year that I have like a committee of chair members to delegate. Yeah, too, which is a whole new thing.
I read about that. So let's talk about Flower Fest. Where did that idea originally come from?
I was just bored at home watching. I think we had all watched all of Netflix. There was nothing else for us to watch anymore during COVID. And I had watched, because I'm not a florist, I watched something called The Big Flower Fight. And I got to see that flowers were not just something on a table or at a wedding. And it just really blew my mind creatively.
So what were they doing on that show?
They would have like a theme, like, so each week was a different battle, and they would have like a theme, like a dinosaur theme. They would have like a fashion theme. And I mean, they were making things that were like 20 feet tall and like mind blowing. And it was so cool to watch them do that. So it kind of came from that. And I just had the idea, called my dear friend Katie, and was like, hey, you know, I want to do this. She's a horticulturist. So I was like, hey, you know, can you tell me if this is a crazy idea or not? And she's like, I mean, it is crazy, but I've known you since we were 12 and your crazy ideas can work. Let me help us get the right people involved, you know?
And so what did that look like? The right people being florists? And
yeah. So
others?
Ironically, we got the girl that represented America to come to our festival from the Netflix show. I'm telling you, we were just bored COVID people. Things can happen. But no, it ended up being that, like, I had just met this, lady Meredith Cooper. I just met her at a Scout Guide meetup, and she was just young and hungry and fresh florist. And this was before, you know, we were kind of starting to get the world to come back, but there were still no events. And I'm like, oh, I wonder what she's even doing if there's nothing for her to do. So called Katie, then called Meredith, and she said, well, this is great, Amy, but you're not a florist. Like, how would you even get flowers? So that's when she made the connection to a lady in New Orleans who had the connection to the big warehouses that were having flowers just die. And so we were able to put it all together. I mean, it was 45 days from idea to...
So who on your first fest, mm-hmm. who's building the stuff?
So it's always the florist. So like this year we have 5 floral teams. And so there's one lead florist who designs it all. And then they put together a team of no more than 6 people, and they have 2 days to build it.
And the flowers come from?
Louisiana Wholesale Florists.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They're our floral donor.
I built their building.
Oh, yeah.
Many, many, many years ago. And so, okay. So this is the first thought that went through my mind. When you come up with that, I read articles about it. And when you come up with that idea, obviously it can be very exciting. And of course, having seen that show, you could get some good ideas what that might be able to look like. But how clear was it to you that it was not going to become something where you had to pour a ton of money in?
Yeah, because the first year I did.
Work?
I spent a lot of money. Yeah, the first year I spent a lot. Last year I spent about half, and this year it's just all sponsorships, and it's wonderful.
So when you look at the end of the first year and you saw how much you had to spend,
well, now I'm divorced.
Did you know?
It's like, now you know why. Just kidding. But no, I do this a lot. I am a big dreamer, and I will dream as high as I can go, knowing we may fall a little bit, either with the client's budget or practicality. And I will sometimes be in a room, and an idea will come out, and then I go, dagnabbit, I have to do that idea now. Like, why can't I just shut my mouth? You know, I do that, and I did this to myself. But I also feel like, because this was my first true undertaking that was 100% my idea, if it sinks, it sinks, but it's on me. Right. It wasn't a client's budget, or there just were no parameters, and people were hungry for anything to do. I mean, it was the first event. The governor said, y'all can have events. We're like, cool, because we already scheduled it for next weekend. like we were already moving forward with it. We had the fire marshal come out and approve the space. So it was an outdoor event. We were like, people wear masks if we need to.
So first year, okay, so how does it work? How does the festival work? You sell tickets?
Mm-hmm. So it's like a traditional festival in that sense. You can walk up and get your tickets. Right. But yeah, we do pre-sale tickets. It's 2 days. And the reason why it's 2 days and not just one is because the flowers are alive for a second day. So I wouldn't want to try to make more money for St. Jude. So first day you get there, we don't even tease. We know what the theme is, but we don't even tease what these things look like. So people see them for the first time when they get there. When you walk through, there's always a grand entrance, and that's so if there's a long line, you can take photos under this beautiful entrance. So we have a big entrance that's on theme. You'll check in, you'll go through multiple other stops along the way of other photo ops and things you can do just to make that check-in not so lame. And then you're open, and it's this big, beautiful space full of these floral sculptures. So yeah, they get to walk around, they can vote on their favorite, they can eat floral food, shop in a floral market. Each year we've added something. So the first year, we didn't have a market. We had Alvarez Construction was there. We were signing boards that were going to go into the St. Jude home. We had them. We had a girl that did flower tattoos. That was it. We realized that people didn't want to leave. I didn't give them enough to do. So I was like, okay, we're going to do a market the next year. So last year we had like 15 people. This year we're turning people away. We're at like 25. We can't do any more because they have to meet the criteria of being floral. Either you make it, it looks like it, or it's composed of flowers, or it's on theme. And this year's theme is birds of a feather. So we have some floral and boutiques that have like feather and floral stuff. But we keep adding on so we can keep raising more money and people stay. Because when you stay, 20% of the food, the drinks, the things you buy also goes to St. Jude. So in my mind, the longer you're there enjoying it, the more money we're raising.
And so the connection with St. Jude was made how?
I mean, I'm a mom of 3 kids. My youngest, Esther, she was in the hospital at Arley Lake Children's Hospital quite a lot when she was little. She just had seizures and different kind of like learning issues. We were just in the hospital a lot. And I remember thinking, once I started seeing the dream home and a lot of that, I was like, I can't imagine what these families go through. And I felt so lucky to have these 3 healthy children. So in my mind, it was a no-brainer because everyone, like, no one can not love St. Jude. Everyone can get behind that. And the more I've been doing this now, I'm realizing how much they really do support these families. And so it was just an easy thing. And there also wasn't another festival doing St. Jude, so I didn't have to compete, you know.
So the first year you dug in your pocket and you did, but you were still able to donate like $10,000?
It was $27,000 the first year.
27 the first year?
Mm-hmm. The second year was $40,000, and this year we have a goal of $100,000.
That's fantastic.
So, well, and it's like, I'm not the best at math, but I was like, okay, if we were to just do the same with the market, say that's the same, and we have the same amount of food trucks, how will we get there? So that's why we added honorees. I had enough people over the last year or so say, look, whatever you need. I don't know if they knew that I was going to text them and say, this is what I need, but I did. I literally just reached out to friends of mine, people that a lot of them were people I did work with. They were previous clients or current clients, friends of mine. And I said, look, it's a $4,000 minimum. You'll have 6 months to raise it. I'll help you figure it out. But if I can get you guys to do this, along with what last year we produced out of this festival, we'll reach that 100,000. I
see. So the honorees are, I saw a list of...
We have 16.
16. And I saw Nathan in there.
Yeah.
And so that's how it works. And they get on board to help raise some money. And I'm sure... help bring a lot more attention to the festival as well.
Yes, definitely. I think it's really helped our reach because we have always had florists that were from, New Orleans, Ponchatoula, Lafayette, Lake Charles, but I think people still thought it's just a Baton Rouge festival. And I think that having these honorees, even though they're, Baton Rouge people, they're sharing it. And so more people are seeing it. And we've already had people reach out for next year that aren't just Baton Rouge, people from New Orleans. So it's kind of like showing people what you can do and then people will get on board. So we have some really fun things planned for these honorees at the gala. That's on Saturday night to show, if you are an honoree, look at all this fun that you get to. It's not all just begging people for money.
And the event is held at
Point Marie.
Point Marie. And the gala is...
Same place.
There as well.
Yep.
Is the gala outdoors?
Yeah, I'm, again, kind of crazy. So I said, why can't we do a gala too. And, give these florists who put in all this work like a great award ceremony, and then give people a reason to dress up. I mean, like I said, I didn't have a cap. Nobody was telling me I couldn't do it, which was probably a problem, but I said yes to all of it. So we have a 2-day festival, and we also have a gala that I'm planning, and we have 2 hours from when it closes at 4 to flip that space into a gala, meaning the tables, the band, all the extras, because you also have to make it valuable for someone who wants to come. Why would I go to the festival versus the gala? Well, we have to make the gala have more bells and whistles. So that means all the floral things need to light up, so they need to look different. Then we need to have some things that aren't during the festival. I mean, it's just I'm a bit much.
When you came up with the idea, the first year, in 45 days, you made it happen. Mm-hmm. Now that you're getting ready to be your 3rd anniversary, right? So what does the prep look like now? So
we've gotten better, I will say. So at 6 months, we don't ever die off. We're constantly reaching out to sponsors and things like that. But we did better this year. So we really started the prep with these committee chair, meetings 6 months prior. And that was getting into who's doing what, who's delegating what, who's signed on, who's going to do this again, which does help the step and repeat kind of process. And then, all right, what new thing did Amy come up with that we had to figure out? That's what I do. So that was figuring out, okay, well, how do we make the florists feel great for all that they've put in? How do we make the honorees feel great? But how do we make people not fall asleep because it's so many people to think and you're just bored to tears? So we've been planning, and then now we're in the crunch zone. So now it's every week. So it was, once a month Zooms, and it was every 2 weeks. Now we're at once a week. We are getting together, planning. And I mean, our group chat is constant. I probably have 20 messages already just from being here.
So are you leading that? Mm-hmm. I mean, you're
I mean, I don't know if I would ever want to let it go. It is kind of like my baby. I'm sure people wish I would, so I'd stop making everybody work harder. But I mean, I feel like, to me, I don't think my daughter wants to be a doctor. My son, he is me reinvented, but he's a boy and he likes games and engineering, and I can see him being like an engineer. I don't know if they would want ever anything to do that I've built up with my business, but this is a legacy that I can leave them or their kids to come to and be like, my mom started that, my grandma started. Like, it's a cool thing to know that I could leave something for my state, and that it helps so many people. It brings people together in such a good way, and it makes us look like, our state can do these really cool, kind of artsy, kind of cultured things, and we're not just always eating and drinking, which we have plenty of eating and drinking. Please come to the festival. You can eat and drink. Please, promise. But it's just, we don't have anything like this, I feel like,
Well, I love your passion for it.
Yeah.
And, so that's April the 1st and 2nd?
It's always the first weekend in April. Okay. We did it that way, so you could book out the next 5 Flower Fest and know we're going to have it at the first weekend in April, because even the first year it coincided with Easter, but we rolled with it, and it works with the almanac. It hasn't rained yet.
Pivotal is pleased to sponsor the Next Entrepreneur podcast. Pivotal is a commercial building contractor that performs new building construction, building maintenance, tenant improvements, renovations, and additions. Pivotal has been in business for over 25 years. The Pivotal team is simply the best. They have an impeccable safety record, and they crush schedules. A focus on quality and professional communication is at the root of their success. Pivotal also performs programs for clients who build in multiple markets, with current projects in Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. If you are looking for the perfect addition to your project team, a contractor who can deliver the results you need to succeed, Pivotal is a one. When it's critical, call Pivotal. They can be found online at pivotalperforms.com. This podcast is sponsored by Mayhall, Fondren Blaze, a Louisiana business litigation firm, offering sophisticated legal advice that is tailored to meet the needs of their individual clients, including a wide variety of litigation, complex business negotiations, corporate formations, closings, and title examination. As leading entrepreneurs, your valuable time and resources should align with the expertise of MFB, a Louisiana practice made for business. Learn how we can work with you at www.mfbfirm.com. Could you or your business benefit from a comprehensive financial plan? Our sponsor, Centura Advisors, is a locally owned firm in Baton Rouge, Louisiana that specializes in personal and business financial planning, tax planning, corporate retirement plans, and investment management. We provide an all-in-one wealth management service so busy business owners like you can take back your valuable time. Visit www.centura-advisors.com to learn more. Centura Advisors, it's time to plan your future. Can I ask you about the 225 people to watch?
Yeah, I had no idea that's what they were going to do. I knew that they were writing something about the Flower Fest. But when that came out, I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I just didn't even know how to take it. I was like, maybe don't watch me. I'm a hot mess a lot. I hope you don't see me in Target,
I was going to ask you, how does it feel to know that people are watching you?
It's weird. I mean, no one's really. That's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's an honor because when I was looking at it and flipping through, I'm like, how am I even in this list? I mean, there's like doctors, there's people that are like with Visit Baton Rouge, and I'm just like, oh, how?
But Amy, hold on. Just think about what we were just talking about in that second segment about what you're doing with this, even with the festival and the passion that you have to build and leave a legacy. Not just for your family, but for the state. So it's real. And then I think about this experiential marketing stuff you're doing.
Yeah.
You're doing some good stuff. So don't.
I guess because I enjoy it too much, it just doesn't feel.
Yeah. For sure. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to ask you a question about your management style.
Okay.
So, I was writing this question down before I met you. Right. So yes. I probably have a little better idea now, but I'm just curious how you would define your management style. And is it any different from your business versus the festival? Because the festival seems like a real operation.
Oh, it is. I mean, but I'm still Hot Mess Express with that too. But no, I mean, honestly, I think my parenting style, my business style, I'm all the same Amy the whole time. I don't ever put on the suit. I just might curl my hair, but I'm the same Amy. And I think that if you just because I'm self-aware, I'm in enough therapy to be very self-aware. I'm like Michael Scott meets Leslie Knope. I'm passionate and I'm excited. And, if it takes whatever it's going to take, come on, guys, I can rally the troops. But then I also might just randomly break out in a dance or something stupid just because, in my mind, that was appropriate. I think that's where I'm at with management. I don't think that was ever my skill set, honestly, to manage people.
Well, one of my favorite YouTube things is to watch bloopers from The Office. And I imagine if we had some bloopers from Amy's life, it would be equally as entertaining.
If only we could push these out and try to escape and we throw a cat out, from when Dwight set the office on fire.
Oh my God, that is the funniest episode ever. I don't know how they recorded. I don't know how they shot that.
No.
Because it was such a hot mess. And did they have to do it on one take?
Yeah, and I don't know if I feel like a lot of their show had to be one takes because they would all be laughing so hard.
Oh, that episode was the craziest. I love that.
Yes.
I've sent that to friends who don't watch The Office.
Yeah.
But, okay, so
yes, management skills. So for example, when I first brought in some of the youngest employees I had that were still at LSU, when I would sit down with them and we would go through a meeting, I would go, do you want to lead this? Because it was the organizational, the agenda. And I was we were showing up to talk about this project. I mean, it's just my brain doesn't work like that. It's not that it's a bad thing about who I am. I know that I have my own skill set, but if we're going into a meeting, I know that halfway through the meeting, we might go in a completely different direction. So why waste my time on an agenda? I just know I've been to enough of my meetings.
Yeah.
So, but it was I could tell that I'm I don't think I'm the type that manages people. This is not my skill set.
Yeah. So I was thinking of leading by example. Is that you?
Oh, yeah.
Or do you give the people you work with a lot of rope to run with? Are you micromanager kind of?
Oh, I don't have time to micromanage. I feel like the people that have worked for me over the years were so good that I didn't have to. I never worry about what Kim's going to do. Yeah. I mean, Kim will show up and it's going to be great, whatever she sends back. And if I had people that it was kind of like an onboarding, I would go with them the first time with the client and we will work on the project together and then I can pass it on. It's if I have to stay on top of you, then I could have just done the work myself.
So have you ever used mentors in your business, like people that you looked up to?
I think I naturally have a lot of that with the clients. I learn from them. They learn from me in that kind of a sense. But I wish I'd had someone to tell me what to do or help me. Wouldn't have to learn the hard way so often.
I'm always impressed with the entrepreneurs that take that mentorship role real seriously. I'm not going to say that I didn't take it seriously. I had dinner last night with Charlie Cole, a titan in real estate and development here in Baton Rouge, and we've been friends for 30 plus years. And I can look back over my career and go, that was a mentor, and I learned from him. But I don't know that I thought it, early on,
right?
And
like
say, I'm going to make this guy a mentor, and then we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to meet regularly. But I definitely, looked out for people that I wanted to emulate, either maybe how they lived their life or ran their business or something like that. So kind of looking back, I would say that I have used a number of mentors, but not as in a, orchestrated way as some people.
Well, I think I was when I saw the need for social media marketing and all the stuff I was learning, graphic design, video, photography back in, 2016, it was only huge agencies that were doing it. And there was only a few in Baton Rouge. There wasn't the solo person that could come to like a smaller, like an interior designer per se, or like someone who builds pools and fit their budget and feel like an employee to them, but not be. And I think I didn't have anyone else to look up to because I tried working for an agency and I loved everyone there, but I'm like, this was not who I was. I was older than them. Yeah. Their stuff was just not we just weren't the same. And I think that's why I didn't really have anyone to look to.
And look, you're a young lady and you're still young in your career, and you'll have plenty of time ahead of you to consider that. Okay, I'm thinking about you running committees, and sounds like a lot of people with the festival. Yeah. What would you say your strengths are as a leader?
I put in really good memes in our group chat. No. My strengths is that I think I put myself in everyone's shoes all the time. So I will respect boundaries. Like I wish someone had respected mine. So I try not to ask things too much of like anyone who's volunteering or anyone who works. Like I know what that feels like when someone's texting you at 9 p.m. and you're like, okay, couldn't this have waited till tomorrow? So I think if I were to pick anything, when I work with anyone, whether it's volunteer work like this or clients or employees, it would be that I try to feel what it would be like if I had to receive that text or that email or that request or that job responsibility. So,
and I would think hard work. Having a strong work ethic. Because
I'm going to do it. Because I also don't want to ask someone to do something I wouldn't do. And I also struggle to delegate anyway. So these people are so great because the majority of the people are constantly coming to me, Amy, what can I do? Amy, don't do that. We got it. Like they're constantly having to tell me because I'm used to doing it by myself.
So we talked strength. What about weakness?
Probably that I don't delegate enough, that I have trust issues to think that it'd just be easier if I did it myself, or no one really wants to help me, or no one, I have a lot of imposter syndrome, a lot of that putting myself in someone else's shoes also means I can have conversations for them that they didn't actually have. Do you know what I mean? Like I can talk myself out of an opportunity that I was going to ask for help that they never even got to have with me. And they're like, why didn't you just ask? Why didn't you just say, yeah? Or, I think I do that.
I hadn't really heard that term too much, but Kenny Wynn used that on the podcast here, and it kind of took me by surprise. But now that I've heard that used more frequently, now that I've recognized it, it makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a couple other things here that you do with all your free time.
Yeah.
And I saw here recently you're a choreographer and member of the Flamingeauxs.
Yeah, yeah.
What is that all about?
It is probably the only thing I do for pure fun, like just for the sake of it. So, I was a cheerleader and I did dance my whole life and all that. And in 2019, I had a friend that wanted to start a dance crew. We did that, and then
Okay, so what is a dance crew?
Well, it is a group.
Is that like a Mardi Gras thing?
It's definitely for Mardi Gras. We do dance for other things. So like if there's a charity event or a reason, or someone had a proposal they wanted us to. But yes, it follows the Mardi Gras and parade seasons here. So we have a fall season where we do Halloween, Christmas, those kind of things. And then we have a spring. Yeah. So, I mean, but we actually, so we started out as a different group, and we all had like a walkout moment where we were like, this isn't what we signed up for. We want to have, different committee chairs. We want to have different people involved. We want to be a huge co-ed diverse group of people. And so we started I did their branding, did all their logo and all of that. And I love it. It's so fun. So whenever we're in full season, so we just got off of that. I mean, it's twice a week practice. It's the full fun outfits and makeup. It's like I'm back in theater just being ridiculous for the sake of being ridiculous.
Yeah, that's fun.
But I love it because my kids see it. So I know it sounds weird, but they see their mom have fun. Yeah. Because my mom, I love my mom so much, but she didn't get to have a lot of fun. I felt like she had fun with us when we were playing art, but I didn't see her with other adults.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think parents can sometimes get lost in being a parent, and that's the only thing they identify as, and they forget who Amy is. Yeah. So that's where I remember,
Okay, so let's talk about your vision for the future of Clover.
Yeah. Well, and it's neat that I'm on this podcast now because I'm definitely in like a pivoting, transitioning stage. I recently, at the end of last year, had the new president for Mothers Against Drunk Driving reached out and said, hey, I'm way in Florida. And then she's like, I'm moving to Texas, so I can't use you how I'd want to, but would you be my coach? And I'm like, that sounds great. So I've been coaching her on her launch. I went and shot photos for her in Houston, and now she's just got a bank of photos she can pull from. Just today, she was texting me, hey, I had this idea for a reel. What do you think? Sounds perfect. Send it to me, edited it, sent it back. So now I'm in this coaching role, which I love because I can help more people because it's a little bit less of a cost. But I feel like I've always meant to be a coach. I love encouraging people. My Instagram, my personal one is, Queen of Hype, because I love hyping up businesses. I mean, if I see your post, I'm going to share it. I'm going to like it. I'm going to comment. I know what that means for me or my business owners when someone just engages with a post. Like, it took so much just to put that out there. So I feel like I've naturally been like a hype person. And so being her coach since December and seeing her numbers go up, and especially the Mothers Against Drunk Driving, I was like, this is so radical and different the way we're approaching their messaging. But I'm able to do it just from coaching. Like, I don't have to shoot the videos. I don't have to design the graphic. I mean, I did take the photos for, but, I'm learning that I can maybe do that for other people. So that's what this year is going to be about, is really getting into that coaching role, offering more courses. So I had someone reach out and they said, hey, we've been approached so many times. It's a huge company in Baton Rouge. He's like, we've been approached so many times to teach courses and we just don't want to. It's not what we want to do. But we reached out to you and we want to give you these people. So in April, I'm going to have this class that's going to have like 30 people. And they're going to get a piece of paper that they fill out before. That's going to be like who are you? What's your business? So I can audit them even before the class. Yeah. So I know who I'm talking to. So that's that value thing I talked about. They won't feel like I'm just talking over their head. Right. So they'll have that value piece. We'll do a whole day of social media, and then they'll leave with like their homework to do. And it'll be based on them. So if I see their account is only graphics, right, and doesn't have any photos, or it's all stock, like they'll have a personal recommendation. So I'm doing that. Excited
Very
about.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the experiential marketing, that we talked about. So that's those opportunities. I'm excited. I hope that there's more people out there that understand what that means and the value of having really memorable, engaging events and what that can do for your brand. I get nervous when I'm the first to a lot of things because then I feel like I have to convince people. Yeah. But no, I'm excited for where we're going.
Okay. And your vision for the future of Flower Fest?
Oh, I mean, well, I got big visions for that. Yeah, I mean, year 10, I want it to be that we have other states coming in that are wanting to compete. So it becomes like a Gulf South thing, or, we have 20 installations where we have, there's no cap on it. It really isn't. And so I really want it to be something that is building tourism, that when you hear the Flower Fest and you in another state, you know what that is.
God, that's so cool.
Yeah, well, I think it can do it. I think it's unique in itself. Because there are other festivals that are awesome, but like maybe people in Missouri don't care about sweet potatoes, but everybody likes flowers, So it's like, this could be really something that brings people down here and also cultivates jobs. I mean, eventually you'd have more hotels, and it could be really something big.
Amy, your enthusiasm is contagious. And I love your passion for everything that you do, living life and dancing and festivals and business and all this stuff that you're doing. So congratulations and continued success in all that you do. It's been a great pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, that passion, that energy is so exciting and contagious. And Amy is just a pleasure to talk to. So interesting to learn about all the work that she's doing. And it's so creative. So I think that the work that she's doing on the Flower Festival is going to become exactly what she envisions now, and is going to grow into a really meaningful event for our city and our state. I loved when she talked about her experiential branding and marketing and how exciting that is. And with her coaching and teaching courses and social media, she is just on the cutting edge of doing some super cool creative things. So we really enjoyed her coming in the studio. We appreciate her time. We appreciate you guys watching, and we'll catch you next time. We would like to thank our title sponsor, B1 Bank. They can be found online at b1bank.com. The Next Entrepreneur is produced by Propel Productions. You can find more information at propelyourstory.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the Next Entrepreneur podcast and hit the bell for notifications. You can also follow us on social media. The links are in the description below.